Hello, my name is Paula McGurdy and I'm a visual artist, and I've recently started these conversations with female creatives within Ireland to find out a bit more about their process, about where they find their inspiration, about their day-to-day, and really to showcase the amazing talent that we have all around us. And as somebody who is very drawn to the aesthetic and the beauty, it's something that I find fascinating, and I hope you will too. Today on the episode I have artist and designer Alice Fitzgerald, and currently Alice's work is hand-pulled screen prints. Some of them are on a larger scale, and she works predominantly in monochrome and organic forms as well, and her work is very beautiful, and you might have seen it around. So let's go and have a chat to Alice and she can tell us a bit more about her process.
Okay. Hi, Paula. How are you?
Hi, Alice. Hello. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome.
These conversations are always funny, aren't they, when they're like on calls like this? But I think we're all getting used to them a bit more. So,
yeah.
maybe not. Yeah. So, Alice, maybe we'll start at the beginning. Maybe tell us a bit about your story. How you came to art, to creativity. Were you in a family that was celebrated? Did you go to art college? Kind of tell us a bit about the beginnings of where it all started, because I think often people struggle with understanding how artists got into being an artist in the first place, even though I think that you're always an artist, even from child and everything. But tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I suppose first question there, no, none of my family, as far as I'm aware, were particularly artistic or in that way. I spent my first few years, grew up on a farm until I was about 8. So I think I spent a lot of time in nature and I think on my own a lot as well, just going for walks. I think just observing things always as a child. And I suppose that probably from around the age of 8, I remember just doing a lot of drawing, and was just always drawing and making things or making dolls' clothes. So I was always just seemed to be very happy in my own company doing those kind of stuff. I think it was I remember my 5th class, I remember somebody saying to me when we were doing drawing in class or something, she's like, that's really good. And I remember then sort of being aware, it was the first time I had sort of outside validation of that, oh, maybe this is something I'm kind of good at. And then I suppose, then noticing a couple of other girls were also good at that. And then I think from about then on, I'd kind of decided, I want to go to art college, and it was just kind of always what I wanted to do. And I think my mum was very lucky that she had a kid who could spend hours just faffing away doing things.
Yes, so, that's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
yeah. So from there on, I suppose I always saw myself doing, it was fine art, being an artist. Then I ended up getting, but then I'd heard that I ended up doing the course Visual Communications in DIT, and I'd kind of heard it was a good course, and I kind of thought, oh, well, I'll do this, and maybe it gives me more options. So I did that, and I think it was, I think for a few years, the first couple of years, definitely, I remember the tutors used to say to me, I could really see you in fine art. And I was very messy in how I approached my work. And then I ended up...
Were they trying to move you on, or were they embracing that? Were they thinking that was a good thing? Yeah.
It wasn't seen as, it was kind of a compliment. It was more just that, just how I approached things was slightly different than maybe some people who were very much graphic designers. I'm not sure. Then I ended up doing Erasmus in Holland then in my 3rd year, and it was kind of then that sort of design sort of clicked for me, and just kind of order, and so then I was looking at things quite differently then. So yeah. So but I think I remember in college I did my thesis was on punk fanzines. And I was still very into collage. I think David Carson, there was a lot of that kind of grungy kind of design at the time, or postmodern kind of design at the time was quite collagey and messy. And then, so it's kind of influenced by that. But then I think I started getting really into as well, especially in Holland, just a lot of like modernist design and kind of Joseph Muller Brockman and that sort of just the composition. And so then I was kind of the whole less is more aesthetic, and how you can say the same thing sometimes less, or how you leaving in one element or taking another element away can completely change, you know, so it was that kind of, so I think I've always kind of identified probably with that order versus chaos. So there's kind of two there.
And I guess that thing you said about less is more, I can see one of your beautiful prints behind you there. You can definitely see how that is very much the style of your art as well. And how would you describe it yourself then, Alice?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose my work is quite minimal and you know, or abstract. Yeah, and I suppose I do love the beauty and simplicity, and but again, it's just like when I would work, it would be quite, when I was doing that kind of work, it would be quite instinctual, and it's just kind of like moving elements around, you know, so it either works, it doesn't work, you know, I can't say why it does or it doesn't, but yeah.
So you don't work with any digital, is that right, Alice? Can you tell us a bit about your process? It's analog, is it? So you're cutting out shapes and forms, and because I guess some people will know about screen printing, but maybe some others wouldn't. Can you tell us a bit about kind of the process of how that works?
No, so I worked as a web designer for years. I was artwork, Mongrel magazine, which was great because I got to work with my creatives. I mean, that's gone back now quite a while ago. But I did a lot of work in the charity sector and the NGO sector, overseas aid as well. So, you know, worked on some really interesting projects. But I was quite frustrated as well. I really didn't like working on the computer for, you know, I just, so I had this frustration inside me that I just wanted to start painting, that I wanted to start just being tactile. So I started a couple of years ago there, I just started painting myself, and kind of mostly inks and kind of watercolor stuff. Then and I started doing Riso printing in damn fine print, and then from there it led on to, I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing screen printing. I had done screen printing in college, but again, that was a long time ago. And so, I started then, I work with cutting out shapes, stencils, and then they're screen printed. So it's all analog. So I would just start by sketching in my notepad with compositions, and then, so I don't go near the computer at all, and I absolutely love the fact that I don't go near the computer.
Yeah, it is. It's something about that, as you said, that tactile thing. I think sitting in front of a computer for many artists is just, it grates with what they would naturally, how they would naturally work, I suppose, you know?
Yeah.
And in terms of kind of the physicality, I suppose, with screen printing, there's quite a bit of physicality, and some of your works are quite large. Is that right, Paula? So I'm just wondering about like some of them, your hand pulling them, is that right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about the inspiration behind them? So your forms, their shapes and forms, where do you find inspiration behind?
Well, I mean, it's one of those, you know, questions where I'm like, I find inspiration everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
You mean, obviously, visual people are usually just always looking, and you know, but I suppose, I mean, some of my favorite artists would be like the likes of Ellsworth Kelly. He's an American artist, very minimal. and Irish like Patrick Scott and Richard Gorman. And so, so obviously there's something about their style that really resonates with me, and it's again, it's really simple kind of abstract shapes.
So how does your day-to-day work? I think it's being an artist, if you're not a creative or in any way kind of leaning towards that way, I think for a lot of people I'm looking for the right word to describe it. It's something that's elusive to them in terms of a day-to-day working for an artist. How do artists work? So can you tell us a bit about your day-to-day? Do you work with sketchbooks? Do you use a lot of other artists in terms of looking to them for inspiration? Do you work in a series? Do you start early? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. I suppose my just the way my life is, because I have 2 children. I teach in the ETV as well part-time. So my time for making art is somewhat restricted. You know, it has to work around those other 2 elements of my life. So I feel like when I have time to work on my art, I'm quite focused about it, because but I'm always thinking about it in the background. It's always going on in the background. So I have more short spurts of time. So sometimes it's like just drawing in my notebook, really, and then, but again, it depends. I might be in the studio in down fine print. I might be in my house. I might, you know what I mean. So it's always quite different. But I tend to work in series. I think maybe my graphic design discipline is quite systematic in that. You know, I obviously there's a lot of experimenting and things that don't work out, and things are like, okay, I'm not going to follow with that. That's not working for me. So, and then if it's a case of, so I have tended to kind of work on series, and then, you know, putting them through their paces, and then, you know, and then obviously, keep going with it until, you know, feel like it's exhausted, or else, but again, sometimes, because I might only be able to work 2 hours at a time, I don't have the whole day of doing stuff that I always have to, if something isn't working anyway, I come back to it another time, or
Do you feel also, Alice, that you have a finite point in terms of when you've worked on something and you know it's finished? Do you have real clarity over when that's finished, or do you often come back? I'm always curious with other artists whether you leave it for a while and come back to it and see, or is there a real clarity for when things are finished for you?
Unfortunately, a lot of the time, again, the way my life is, I might be feeling just about finished and I have to run off and go or something. So sometimes I might then come back to it the next day, and sometimes I kind of go, God, I thought I'd really nailed that yesterday, and actually no, I don't quite like that. So then I might go, actually, I'm just going to take this one element out, and now it works. So but I definitely feel like, I definitely know when I feel like, no, it's not there. It's not there. And then sometimes it can just get there, or it can be there the next day. So, I mean, I think like everything, you have days where you're quite productive, you know, and you feel like you nailed, on the days when you're like, no, it's just not there. So, I suppose it's kind of, and again, I suppose I also feel like I'm working on a few slightly different series as well. So they all have a slightly different visual language, even though I'm sure there's an overarching kind of visual language there. They're still, to me, they're still quite different. So they're also working them in slightly different ways, I suppose, as well. So. You
touched also on motherhood as well, and I think I have two kiddies myself, and I feel like things changed quite significantly for me, mostly in the way, like as you said, in the way that you work. But I'm wondering, how has that panned out for you in terms of has your work changed since having children? Obviously, the time frame that you get to work on your art. How has motherhood informed your practice, or has it at all?
Well, I mean, I think maybe it's not necessarily motherhood, but I think for me, I didn't really start my art practice until the last couple of years, because I suppose before that, as I said, I was working in graphic design, which of course is a similar thing to me. So it's not, but like this actual without client-driven art, you know, like as in without briefs, just making stuff for myself, really only happened in the last 2 years or so. And I think, I don't know, I mean, the boring reality is there was a lot of just saving money to get a mortgage to, you know, I didn't feel like I had much time or headspace in my life to be making art before then, I think. And that's just, I felt like I kind of needed my ducks in a row. Then there was those first kind of, this was 5 years of child rearing, where again, there's very little time. So it was only when my kids went to, you know, school crash,
nursery. Otherwise, it's intense, isn't it?
Very much. I deserve to give myself this time now to.
Absolutely.
It was many years, I think, in the making, I think, and but I suppose I feel like there's a certain confidence that comes as well after having children, that you, and also if you don't give as much of a crap about
maths are,
or you're more aware of your mortality or life going faster or something, so it's just, I'm just going to do it. So so it's so in some ways sometimes I get frustrated, because I would, like, obviously, like a lot of parents during this global pandemic, it's when I thought I had a whole summer in front of me of I would have made holidays from teaching, that I would be every day making art, painting, and so it hasn't, but
living the dream.
So but I mean obviously they do inspire my work as well. I love seeing how they the marks that they make, and just that kind of totally unself-conscious, just the really beautiful marks that they make, and they seem to enjoy seeing me making work, and sometimes they try and draw my work, and so look, they're, you know, obviously they're great. I love them, you know. Great.
Yeah, of course. Same, but
it's a huge amount of juggling. You know, there's so little. So that's what I mean. When I have time to do any art, I'm just like, I'm almost in heaven, because I'm just like, you know, sorry, not really heaven, but
you're in the flow of, you know, where you want to be, I guess, you know. But I think for lots of parents, women who've had children, I think then that time becomes precious, I guess, you know, and you end up, well, I know for myself, I ended up becoming more prolific, because I think that time was just, I know I have to be focused for this certain amount of time. That's all I have. And it was less, you know, doodling about and faffing and all that kind of stuff. So I think, I think it can be a very good time to be able to focus. And I also think you picked up on your kids and their mark making and stuff. I think kids can be a great inspiration for creatives as well, to see that they don't have the same hang-ups or hindrances that you get as you get older, and they don't deliberate about their work.
Things they So
maybe you need to do a collaboration. That's what you need to do, Alice. It has been done. So would you, did you do anything in terms of business side of things? Like, would you consider this as a business, or would you say that you're an entrepreneur, or like doing any of that kind of background work? Have you done any courses or anything to see you
No, I haven't done any courses. I mean, obviously I figured out how to use Squarespace so I can sell my work online.
Which is such an easy platform to use. I'm not very technically minded, and my website is Squarespace as well, and it's very user friendly.
Yeah. So I don't. I mean, I suppose I still see myself as making art that I sell, and yeah. Because I haven't really thought about that aspect.
Yeah. I wonder about many artists who, like, well, me included. You don't, because obviously in art college you're not taught anything about business or budgeting or finances or how to promote yourself. And I always think it's interesting then when artists are just put out into the world. You've gone through a stage of study, and then there's nothing really to prepare you for the realities of selling and making a career out of it. So I'm always interested to know whether.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much learning as I go, and but also, you know, realizing as well there are some people in the community there that are also very helpful. And look, it's like, where do you buy postal tubes? Like, all that kind of stuff, and you kind of just kind of have to figure that out and ask people. And you know, and some people are very, you know, helpful with that kind of
and thank God for Google as well. You know, Google. So do you have if you're looking for, do you ever get like a period of time where you feel like you're stuck and you're not really feeling like there's any inspiration there? Do you have a way to get back into kind of getting yourself out of that kind of phase? Or
I think because I feel like, I suppose it would be quite rare for me to have a sort of like a whole day where I can work at things that I suppose I usually,
or no?
I suppose I just probably, okay, it's fine, I'm just going to leave it, I'll come back to it tomorrow. So I suppose I don't get too stuck, because I suppose then I have some other idea. Like, I suppose I quickly go, okay, if that's not working, I'm going to go do this again. So I suppose I still feel like I'm very much in a run of, like, I have loads of ideas, I just never have enough time to do them, so that there's I'll try something else if that's not working, I suppose. Like, look, there are definitely there's definitely like a like, I want to get more into, have more time to do painting, and I think that's definitely something that will take me a long time to feel that. I've been doing a certain ink painting that I have been, which from my Riso stuff, but yeah, there's so I think maybe ask me again in but no, I listen to music when I'm working.
Sure.
I faff around. I don't. I suppose I don't get too bogged down if I get stuck.
Yeah. And would you say that one of the challenges that you have, would that be, you've mentioned time a bit, so would that be kind of your biggest challenge that you would say?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's, and I mean, like most artists, a lot of people have to have other, you know, other jobs or their child rearing, or that's I mean, that's the way it is for most of us. But yeah, I mean, obviously living the dream would be to and that would be my big dream, would be to just be able to devote time to it full time and just have hours every day to go to a studio. So I suppose, the main challenge I think would be the just also, again, like everyone else, I feel like life admin, obviously the admin also behind the work you do as well, takes up a lot of time. So just having the more time and space to be like, I'd love to be able to produce as much as like ideas that I have, but
have the space and time to do that. And you touched on the big dream. So the big dream for you would be to
just
make as much as you possibly can.
Maybe not every day, it's awesome, but 5 days a week. I mean, I think there are so many like that. Like they have part-time jobs as well. They'd rather not, not to. But then also, I also think it's also sometimes healthy just to have something else going on as well. You know what I mean? To have another thing, because maybe that's why I'm saying I don't feel like I get that stuck that much. But I think if I was there, every day, there's also that pressure you have on yourself to be productive every single day if you have all that time. When
and you become very blinkered then as well, I guess. That's all you're doing, so
so it's like everything, it's trying to get that good balance between all the elements in your life.
All the elements, I think so many artists would love to be able to just do the painting or whatever creative endeavor they're doing full time and not have to deal with kind of the part-time jobs or
we don't have patrons these days, so
patron would be lovely, wouldn't it? The dream is to have for me, the dream is to have an assistant, and they can deal with all of the other messy things around that I just delegation, that's what it is really, isn't it? Delegation.
I mean, that's one thing I suppose is you realize is that the making of the art is just one aspect of it. It is the getting it out there, the time that takes, so and the and putting yourself out there and all that. So So
how do you feel about putting yourself out there as well? Are you a solitary person? Are you like an introvert, or do you mind things like social media or this kind of thing? Does that bother you, or do you embrace those things? Well, obviously you're embracing this today, so but
I mean, I would be quite introverted. I mean, like, I suppose with age, I suppose I've just got a bit more confident at doing that. I mean, like, as in it's so that's all quite a recent thing for me, and yes, I'm learning as I go, and I'm it wouldn't come naturally to me, but I also know that I have to push myself more to do it. I would have been nervous beforehand doing this, but I suppose lots of us are adapting slowly to this. When you look at younger generations, it's more it comes more naturally to them. So but so
it's their normal. It's kind of their everyday, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Alice, thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate it so much, and just hearing a bit about your work and your background and the process. And I just, I know others will appreciate that as well. And can you just tell us also, where can people find you? I'll put a link in the end, but where would the best places for people to be able to see your work?
Yeah, well, so I have a website, which is alicefitzgerald.ie, and I can sell work from my website. Dan Fine Print have some of my work as well, which you can buy online there. And Hang Tough have some of my work. There's my friend has like a gallery in Ardmore as well. Some of my work there. Designist have some of my Riso prints. And the next, so I'm part of a group show in Mazer Atelier Mazer.
Yes, I saw that actually. That was cancelled, wasn't it, because of COVID? And
yeah, so that was due to open on the 12th of March, the evening of the 12th of March. Obviously, then at midday, everything was closed, galleries. So that's postponed. So I think we're now looking at the 8th of August. So it will be a day-long opening. It will be staggered, and it will run then. I think it's for the 3 months or so after that. And so, yeah, really looking forward to that. And obviously
that's brilliant. Yeah.
Great other female,
great
female artists. So I'm really
Jane Fogarty, Jane Fogarty and Lola Donoghue. I can't remember who else offhand.
Yeah, so it's Jane Fogarty, Lola Donoghue, Leah Hewson, Helen Steele. Aoife Scott.
I'm putting you on the spot there now.
Myself, which is 6, and there is
yourself. I can link it below, and
sorry,
yes, there you go. Yeah.
So yeah, he's also lovely screen print. Yeah.
Yes, her work is beautiful. Yeah. Well, it just means, I guess, that you've just had a build-up of anticipation for, which hopefully will be in your favour then, I guess, But that will be wonderful. That's an amazing. It sounds like an amazing show as well. So
and I'm really grateful to Mazer as well, because he just saw my work in Dan Fine Print, and didn't know him or anything, but he asked me to be in the show, so that was great. So it's great to see that happening in Ireland. And again, it's look, we're all artists, but it just so happens that we're female, but it's great to see lots of women artists getting
being celebrated as well, which is fantastic. Brilliant. Well, I look forward to it. I'll definitely make it along. I'm really looking forward to that. So it's a really good collective of artists, which is amazing. Thank you so much, Alice. I will link everything below, and look, I wish you all the best with the show, and with continued making and creating, especially over the summer, that you'll get a few more hours here and there. And
the fresh is opening back one day. So.
Oh, there you go.
One trial, getting gear.
The countdown is on. The countdown is on.
We've all been affected different ways by the global pandemic,
yes, it's true. It's so true. Yeah.
I have looked at people, kids who like artists who probably had every day to be in the studio, and so it's been different for us all.
Yeah, I know, it's very true. Well, thanks a million, and I hope you continue to make beautiful, wonderful art and put it out into the world, and it's received really well also. Thank you for joining me today, and have a good weekend.
Okay, bye, Paula. Thank you very much.